We've been on an interesting journey together, and I want us to remember a little bit where we've come so far. The root chakra was our first chakra that we looked at as the base of the spine, and we began with grounding ourselves and feeling a sense of safety. We said that safety is not a luxury, that safety is a birthright. And we said that fear is not our foundation. Love is. In fact, declare that if you will. Fear is not my foundation. Love is. Look at your neighbor and say, neighbor, fear is not your foundation. Love is. Whew, see, I got goosebumps when y'all started talking. This feels good already. We'd like to stay here just for a little while because it feels like a holy massage. All right. Then we moved from the root chakra into the sacral, and we started talking about the flow of the river of creativity that's within us. And we talked about play, and we talked about funding your fun. We talked about how movement, dancing, or even going and working out is a way to activate the sacral. It's about movement in the body. And how there is a sense of knowing that life is not a duty. Life is a dance. And it's not the kind of dance you have to go get classes for, to make sure you get all the steps right. It's about the fun of dancing. And then that activates the part of our being that is creative. And then we moved into the solar plexus and the heart in the same week. Some of you may remember that. And we said that we're going to join this fire that we have within us in our solar plexus. We're going to join it with the garden of compassion. We said that willpower and compassion would work together to create a life that is powerful and meaningful. We learned that when strength and tenderness unite, willpower becomes love power. And we also talked about how Jimi Hendrix said one time, when the power of love overcomes the love of power, we will have peace. So last week we moved. I tell you what, if you're going to applaud there, let's get it. Let's get it. Somebody scream. No. Call me the hype guy. Then we moved from the solar plexus and the heart up into the throat. And last week we said that we're going to rise into the expression of our truth. We remembered that our biology is listening to what our mouth is saying, and that words create worlds. And that our voice is not meant to divide, it's meant to invite. I am learning how to be better at invitation than division. Anybody else learning that? How many have recognized we live in a divisive world where everybody's right about everything? And by God, they're going to stand on the hill of how they're right. And you're wrong unless you agree with them. And then you're probably close to as right as they are. We want people on our... These days, it's gotten to the place where truth doesn't matter as much as opinion does. I'll leave that there. But we learned that this is a powerful tool that we have, and many of us are activating the wrong energies in our life. Doesn't mean that you're bad, doesn't mean there's something wrong with you. We don't ever need to see that as a sense of judgment or condemnation. That's the ego's way of tricking you out of paying attention. It wants you to take it personal so that you don't pay attention to correcting it. That's why when we hear corrections or we hear that there's a more accurate way, sometimes we automatically get into condemnation and we start thinking about, well, I must not be that spiritual because I wouldn't be going through this if I was that spiritual. And then we do one of two things. We either start sulking and become depressed, or we start to bypass it and not ever deal with it. Anybody know what I'm talking about? People love spiritual bypass. I want to see it head on. I don't know about you, but I want to rise into my highest vibrational frequency. And so I ain't got time to bypass stuff. I don't have time to be in denial. If I've got to grow in front of all y'all and be a messy message, I'm down with it. I'm okay with that. I want real people in my life. I don't want folk I can't trust. Come on now. If you've never been through some hell in your life, I'm afraid of you. You know what I'm saying? Those folks that act like they ain't never been through nothing. I came in here floating on joy because love, joy, and peace. When we say practice it, we say practice it for a reason because it is not in every moment that you do it. But the point is not to look at yourself with judgment, but say, hey, there's another area of my life that I get to. I don't have to, I get to elevate. So we're changing our language, and today we're moving toward the third eye. It's called the ajna, and this is the place that's been called the seat of higher perception. Today I don't want to talk about visualization as much as I want to talk about perception, because perception determines your reception, and reception determines your conception, and conception determines what you birth into this world and what you end up having to raise. Some of us have birthed some metaphorical children and they're crazy as all get out. Y'all know what I'm talking about? Some things we've allowed to percolate and to nurture in the womb of our being, and we're like, oh my God, I need to disown that one. And you can by changing your perception. This chakra is whispering, it was in my ear earlier this week, and it said, check this out, John. The real shift isn't what you're seeing, it's how you're seeing it. Now, I've heard this before. We've heard this said by many other people, but how many of you have heard a lot of these principles before? When you come into this space, it's not like you're hearing anything new. I've already told you, listen, this is kind of old school stuff. The issue is not the information, it's the integration. See, I'm not inviting a community to amen these principles. I'm inviting a community to I'm in these principles. There's a difference. You can say so be it, but until you say so it is for you, it doesn't activate in your life. I'm talking about activation, not just affirmation. See, we can talk rich all we want to, but if we feel poor, you're going to attract poor into your life. You will attract lack into your life. You can talk abundance, but if you don't believe it in your being, your cells are not singing the same song. And so something is off key, and that's otherwise known as lack of harmony. So the real shift is not what I'm looking at, it's how I'm looking at it. Turn to somebody and say, it's not what you see. It's how you see. In science, this is called the observer effect. As you observe it, so it responds or reacts to you. But let me tell you a little story. This is a little vulnerable for me, okay? Not as if I haven't been lately. Very, very vulnerable and open, but this is a little vulnerable for me. When we first moved to Florida, in Georgia, we have critters. We have wildlife in Georgia. But I had never in my life seen this many big lizards. Reptiles love Florida. All right, so I had already been down at certain places. You know, we went over to Indian Rocks Beach, and there was a walkover space there, and you walk over, and like if lizards were congregants, we'd be a mega church. And so you'd walk over, and I've never in my life seen such big lizards. Back in Georgia, it wasn't the case. I mean, these were like dragons. Which leads me to a story. I know y'all never had this experience, but one night I stumbled into the bathroom. It was about 2 o'clock in the morning. And we had decided that instead of turning on the light when you go in there in the middle of the night, so you don't wake up with all the bright light, you put a night light in. Anybody? Something that's a faint glow. Just so you don't miss, men. Because I'm married. Got it? So I stumble in, Steve. That sounds like I was drunk. I was not drunk. No, I stumble in because I'm awake in the middle of the night. I stumble in there, and all of a sudden, there's a faint glow of this nightlight. On the wall is the biggest lizard you've ever seen in your life. Tail, claws, teeth, snarling at me. This is a dragon. I posture myself in my underwear to fight a dragon, Chris James. You hear me? I'm ready to go. I'm calling on the power of Thor, Oprah, Tom Cruise, whoever. And I look a little closer, and it's just a towel hanging crooked on the rack, catching the shadow from the night light. Y'all heard? So what am I saying this for? Well, this story came back to me when I'm thinking about perception, because I was about to fight a dragon that was not there. See, this is why I'm saying that we can have clarity of these physical eyes, but if we don't have clarity of insight, our eyesight matters far less. See, I want insight more than eyesight. Somebody say, I want insight more than eyesight. And this is what I got to thinking about. Look, if my perception is off, towels become dragons, shadows become threats, and I spend my life fighting battles that were never real. And that's a lot of energy to spend. So perception's not reality, it's projection. And I am projecting onto my daily life and the people I come in contact with. I am projecting onto everything based on what I believe. Mark Twain actually said this. Some of you know this inside joke that, like, if they can't figure out who the wise quote came from, they always put Mark Twain on it. But Twain actually said this. He said, I'm an old man, and I've known many great troubles, but most of them never happened. I'm going to quote that back again for you. I'm an old man, and I've known many great troubles, but most of them never happened. And what he's saying is, I've experienced things that I know were created in my mind, but weren't happening in reality. In science, because while we're in this spirit expressing experience, we're looking at Bruce Lipton's book, The Biology of Belief. Bruce Lipton puts it this way. He says, beliefs act like filters on a camera. They change how we see the world, and therefore we react to it. One more time, beliefs act like filters on a camera. They change how we see the world, and therefore we react to it. He said essentially that the eyes were cameras, but I'd like to say that the eyes are really projectors. Because how I'm seeing is influenced before I actually see it. See, the brain, according to neuroscience, receives millions of bits of information per second. But I want you to check this out. According to neuroscience, we can only process 50 of them. Can I say that again? We receive millions of bits of information, but we only at this point are able to cognitively process 50 of them. And you know what that means? That means the brain is filling in the blanks with your beliefs. And when you got millions going on and only 50 processed, that's a lot of blanks to fill in. And your brain is taking information and inflammation from your past experiences, and it is coloring in the blanks. Because it's not trying to hurt you. Please understand, you don't need to be at enmity or in division with your mind. Your mind's not trying to hurt you. Your mind is trying to preserve the vessel it travels in. I'm gonna say this again, because you need to understand, your brain is not against you, but it's not necessarily for you. It just wants to live, and if you die, it stops. So it's about self-preservation. It's about the preservation of the vehicle it's traveling in. And so it's offering you data from previous experiences to try to keep you safe. It's called self-preservation. This is why the only way to rise spiritually and to really fully awaken is to at least quiet the mind down so that you can turn up the vibrational frequency of divine nature. Otherwise, you're a victim to the real rather than seeing the real. R-E-E-L. R-E-A-L. So I'm filling in the blanks, Lisa, with what I believe. That means it's on me to start figuring out what it is I really believe. See, this is why the placebo effect actually works. Because the body heals because the mind believes. If you can get the mind to believe that healing is possible, you can start to get your cells in alignment with that belief system. And it'll start creating those possibilities. I'm talking to you about a powerful vessel you have here, a powerful engine of truth. This can circulate healing or it can circulate sickness in your life. That's called the nocebo effect. Placebo effect is the body healing itself because you believe it can, and the nocebo effect is people feel sick because they expect harm. This is why the system, I sound like a broken record, this is why the systems of our world, we don't prefer, but the systems prefer a sick care system, not a health care system. I'm not throwing shade on our doctors or our medical professionals because they're doing the best that they can with what they've been given. I'm actually not throwing shade, I'm casting light. That's what we're here to do, is to cast light, not cast shade. Y'all heard? So I'm saying to our Western world, we have been taught to make human bodies an annuity. We've been taught to cut the check engine light so you think it's okay. Because if you don't think something's wrong, then you're not, come on now. I don't want to make everybody upset maybe up in here, but I'm telling you, if you activate the truth of the divine nature that's within you, you can begin to live a life of health and well-being. Diagnosis is different from prognosis. I'll take my diagnosis and say thank you, and I'll determine my prognosis and attract into my life what is necessary to heal this body. Somebody say, I'm healed and whole. See, the thing is, most of us are walking around with a low-grade fever of anxiety in constant flight, fight, and freeze, constantly stressed out. They have found that oxidative stress in the cells is typically the place that you can trace every known disease back to. Because dis-ease just means disconnection from ease. And when you feel anxious, you feel uneasy. And that is the breeding ground for dis-ease. Your nervous system doesn't ask, is what I'm seeing true? It asks, what lens am I looking through? In other words, the body says, what do we believe about this? Every time you face a trial, tribulation, a challenge, something that is causing you to be in anxiety, your nervous system is asking you to determine what it is you believe about it. Now, see, that can sound like spiritual bypassing if you're not careful, but here's what I tell folks. Vicki, we've talked a little bit about this. Now, you be in the feelings. Don't bypass them. Feel all of the feelings. And then ask yourself, what will I do with the feelings to bring those even the negative feelings over? How will I mutate those, and how will I actually manipulate those feelings to make them fuel? See, I've determined to make fear into faith. I've determined to say to lack that lack is just misunderstanding how much we have space to host. See, if I have an almost empty bank account, what I have decided to do is to say, oh my God, there's so much more room for so many more digits. You say that's semantics. I say it's systems. And when I did it, I pulled myself out of poverty. And you're looking at somebody who's been through bankruptcy, who has lost everything financially. And I'm telling you today, I am a man who is happy and rich and wealthy and continuing to expand it because I changed my beliefs. I don't believe there's any lack in the world. I believe the world is full of abundance. And I'm going to tell you something furthermore. Y'all don't tell anybody I said this, but money loves me. Money looks for me. It hunts me down like, can I get it in your pocket today? Do I have to come back? No, go ahead, get in it. People will think that's crazy, but I'm telling you, even Jesus said to make friends of money. It's not your enemy. It's a tool that's meant to be used. This is one of the reasons, listen, as I say, sit here in these seats, listen, I understand that our transition has been a little destabilizing for many of us, but it's teaching us something as a community to appreciate the space we have and make it feel like home. And before you know it, you will have created your new home. It's right around the bend, by the way. It's just around the corner. Because we're not here for location in the world, we're here for location in the divine. That's the location I'm concerned about. And that's perception. Now, you can live in deception, or you can live in perception. I choose to perceive. So Jesus said this. Put a little Jesus on it. I told you all about my lady in South Georgia. Let me say it like her today. Put a little Jesus on it. I haven't done that one in a while. It hurt my throat to say it that way. Just exercise that muscle. Jesus said, your eye is the lamp. Notice he didn't say eyes. This is where some people missed it. Jesus said, your eye is the lamp of your being. And if your perception is clear, your whole being will be filled with light. Another translation, New American Standard Translation, I believe it was Jesus said, if the eye be single, the whole being will be filled with light. And what he was really saying there is that if there's a focus of your perception, single focus, if the eye is focused in perception, the whole being gets illuminated. Rumi said it this way, close both eyes to see with the other eye. Close both eyes to see with the other eye. I do this on the daily. See, when you practice it, it may not get perfect, but it does get permanent in your being. Because if you change your practice, you'll change your habit. And when you change your habit, you will change your habitat based on what you practiced. You will build a life that is a habitation for truth. And when you do that, then you will find yourself closing these eyes. See, some of us need to turn the news off because it's turning your frequency down. Turn the news off with these eyes. That includes people who want to find you to talk about how bad things are. Now, you will find that as you begin to shift your vibrational frequency, less people are going to come up to you and talk that stuff. Because you will start to build a vibrational repellent for folks who want to talk about what is bad in the world. You will start to create a community of people that come together, bringing together the same signal. Because I'm not looking for signs. I've decided to be the signal. I don't need a sign for my faith to be sight. I've decided to become the signal that draws it in and makes it sight. Perception is the ultimate reality, whether it's the ultimate truth or not. Rumi said, close these eyes every once in a while. Close these eyes. Look at your neighbors every once in a while. Close your eyes. And open up this eye. The Upanishads say that as your vision is, so will your world be. As your vision is, so will your world be. Does that sound familiar? Dr. Wayne Dyer said it this way. When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at, see, I knew somebody had probably heard that from the father of motivation. When you change the things you look at, now notice that he didn't say when you change what you're looking at. He didn't say change your scenery on the outside. He said change how you're looking at the scenery. It's not about me moving somewhere, because wherever you go, there you are. Until your I amness, how you're living your I amness becomes aligned with what it is you want, that person that's living what they don't want is going to keep going around with you, traveling with you. This is why it's the renewing of the mind that puts us into the perfect will of the divine. Somebody say, I came here by divine design to live in love, joy, and peace, abundance, prosperity, happiness, well-being, all good things. Love me, and they're running me down in a good way. So Even the Psalms said, and this was bipolar David in the Bible, seriously. Look, I'm not making fun of it. I'm telling you, if you find somebody who's a creative, you're going to find somebody who's more than likely would be diagnosed, whether they've been diagnosed by anybody. Somebody who is a creative is probably ADD and a mild manic. That's me. I'm fine with that. Look, can I tell you, I'm okay with that. When they told me that was what was going on in my brain, and then they told me what I couldn't do, I showed them what I could do. You understand? Because I'm not my diagnosis. I'm the progress or the prognosis of what they told. I decided to progress it all to where the high is good. Just saying. You can do the same thing. It's up to you. So what I'm saying with quoting Jesus and Rumi and the Upanishads and even Wayne Dyer is I'm saying that even all of the great traditions agree that awakening is not about new scenery. It's about new sight. It's not about getting somewhere else. It's about creating the picture you want to project. In quantum terms, it's called the observer effect. I'm close to done. Somebody say, thank you, Jesus. I was in a coaching session with an individual who had been betrayed terribly by a close friend. And if you've ever been betrayed before, you don't have to lift your hand. I mean, all of us have probably experienced some level of betrayal. But after that betrayal, every smile looked suspicious. Every act of kindness looked like manipulation. Couldn't receive compliments anymore without thinking there's something not right. Everybody was out to get them. They weren't seeing new people. They were seeing old betrayal replayed on every face. It wasn't about changing the scenery. It was about how they were seeing people who came into their life. They were looking through broken lenses. Let me tell you something. If your lenses are cracked, the whole world looks broken. If you had on these lenses and they were cracked, the whole world would look broken, and you would swear, no, they're broken. No, it may be just the lenses that you're looking through. When the lens is cracked, the world looks broken. So if you clear the third eye, you polish those lenses, you heal those lenses, you start to see what's true. One of my favorite prayers that I pray now, especially in situations where it feels like I can't clearly see what's going on, is I've started asking, what's real here? You know what I'm saying? Like when you get anxious about a situation or a circumstance that you're dealing with, instead of getting caught in the vortex of reaction, take a deep breath and simply go within and say, you could, however you want to word it, Holy Spirit, show me what's real. Higher consciousness, show me what's real. Mother Mary, show me what's real. However you want to name it. But get into the attitude of believing you're going to receive the vision of what is actually happening, what is real. Lastly, rewriting the real, R-E-E-L, is what helps us to start seeing life turning out the way we want it to turn out. Pat yourself on the chest and say, I can have the life I really want. See, notice wherever in the body there's resistance to those words. And that's the place to heal. I can have the life I really want. In Dr. Bruce Lipton's research, he found that the cells in the body literally shift based on perception. He started writing and teaching that matter is directly affected by how it's observed, and that perception directly influences reception. And as I said a moment ago, then it affects your conception. So what you manifest into the world. So trauma makes the body replay. I believe it was Greg Braden who said this. The trauma makes the body replay the horror film even when the theater is empty. But I say higher perception is that I don't have to keep watching that movie. I can change the real. The theater belongs to me. There's a simple exercise that I would like for you to consider, because perception is the director's chair, and you get to choose the frame. If you don't frame life the way you want it to be, it's going to frame you, and the odds are it's going to bring you before a judge and a jury, and then it's going to sentence you and incarcerate you to life behind those bars. There's something that I do, and I'm going to ask you to consider it. It's really very simple. And I take a deep breath on nearly everything I do. One of the reasons for that is if you breathe in through your nose about 4 or 5 seconds, you hold it for just a moment. And then you breathe out through the mouth about 7 or 8 seconds. And if you do that a few times, you literally slow down your nervous system response. You start to balance the nervous system. And then you'll begin to bring your heart rate down. And as a result of that, you'll start to bring the brain and the heart into coherence. And then the body joins. And now you have the trinity of a power source that can communicate directly with the quantum field. So I normally take those deep breaths in, and I do this slowly. The first time is not normally as deep or normally as slow. The first time you may feel unsuccessful. Go again. And breathe in deeply. And then sometimes I'll say it aloud, and other times I'll just begin to look, and I'll say, I'm going into the theater of my mind. And I'm looking on the screen of my imagination. And I'm seeing something in me where fear still seems to be in charge. I'm calling on the mind to bring that image onto the screen. And as I bring the image onto the screen, I realize that because I've been able to do that, I'm the one in charge. The mind is not. It's following my commands. And I see that fear on the screen of my imagination in the theater of my mind. And I look down on the arm of the seat. And right there on the arm of the seat is a remote control. And so initially I turn the volume down, no matter what that image is doing. I turn the volume down so that I'm not hearing it and seeing it. And what I used to do was change the channel. That was a little bit of bypassing on my part. I would change the channel. What I do now is I begin to watch this fear image transition from anger, from fright, from horror. And I watch it melt on the screen. And I watch it begin to turn into a spiral of energy. And then I begin to decide what I want to transmute it into. And instead of it now being a scene of horror or pain or trauma, I'm looking on the screen of my imagination in the theater of my mind, and I have mutated this scene into fuel. So sometimes you can see it as a color light. Maybe it's golden light. If it's happening in different parts of the body, we've been going through these colors. So maybe because it's third eye, maybe it's something about my vision and perception. Maybe that's where the fear is. Maybe it's an indigo light. But whatever the color of the light is matters little. I've turned this into a different energy. And now I bring onto the other side of the screen what it is I want. I want a life of peace. And if the fear was around relationships, I want a relationship that's fulfilling. I want friendships that are loyal and friendly and compassionate. And I bring that onto the scene, and I merge this energy that I've just transmuted into that scene. And I watch what happens, that as it merges into this scene, then the whole scene changes on the screen. And instead of changing the channel, I've changed the energy. And I've healed the trauma. Friends, if you have time to hurt from your past, you have time to heal. If you're taking up hours of your week in the pain, Start taking 30 of those hours to heal, and then 60 minutes of those hours to heal, and narrow the gap until you become whole. Don't let the mind trick you and say, no, you don't have time to do that. Why? You have time to suffer. Well, no, it's happening anyway. That's what I mean. It's already happening. Use the time that the suffering has taken up to be intentional about your healing. It happens through your perception. So in closing, loved ones, the third, thank you, Joe. You got to keep this tradition going. Come on now. Loved ones, the third eye is not about predicting the future. It's about choosing how you live now. The miracle is not changing the world outside of you. The miracle is changing how you see it. So this week, I'm asking you to consider the exercise I just shared with you, but at least go into some level of exercise where you're polishing the lens of your third eye, and you re-see the story, and you rewrite it, and you trust that inner compass. And when you do, towels are going to stop looking like dragons. The shadows are going to stop looking like threats in your life. And love is going to reveal itself everywhere in your life. Change your perception. Change your perception.